Hey guys, it's Dave. Today my excitement for my new plant is so outsized to the commonality of it. This is the Rhaphidophora decursiva. It's commonly known as dragontail. I have had my eye on this for a long time. I've seen them show up locally, but large plants, expensive, so a commensurate price tag. I like to buy smaller plants and grow them up large. I think I've talked about that many times now. I saw this at our local nursery on Saturday. I went back for it on Sunday. The price was great, very inexpensive, and I'm going to take you on a journey with me. I'm doing a chores video today that if you are just watching the journey of this plant at some point in the future, me growing it on a stake and not a moss pole, you won't see. The rest of you will get the rest of the chores video, but everybody's going to see me repot this. It's growing in almost pure cocoa peat and not enough, there's not enough perlite in there to even qualify as an amendment. It just some sort of a decoration in there. So most people, I understand, I shouldn't say that. Many people do not repot their plants for a couple of weeks. No surprise to people who've been around. I go my own way on that. I do not follow that. Maybe good advice, maybe not good advice. I know from experience that I'll kill this plant in cocoa peat. I will water this and it will rot the roots out. I don't care what kind of plant it is. It has nothing to do with this being a Rhaphidophora. Let's go ahead and pop the hood on this. It's got that growth pattern that they all seem to have, no matter what age. So that'll be interesting to see what we end up doing with this. I'm going to grow this on a bamboo stake. I do not like moss poles. I understand the utility. Let's take a look at the roots. Very modest right now. And that really has been my experience with Rhaphidophora. Very, very modest root systems in relation to the plant. More so than even Monstera deliciosa or something where you'll have an enormous plant and be convinced that you need to repot it based on that, based on the foliage, not on the actual root mass. Get into the pot and it really has a pretty modest root system, or it can have a pretty modest root system. So I'm gonna get rid of most of this cocoa peat without like tearing roots apart. And then we're gonna grow this on a bamboo stake, and that's the journey that some people are going to see. Oh no, it has a plug. So, in theory, that would dissolve away. I mean, there's a good reason for these plugs when they're being planted and grown up in the nursery. The reality is, this fiber is never going to disintegrate in my lifetime. I'm 56. I don't have that kind of time left. Friends, there's not enough highway in front of me to wait for this to disintegrate. So I tore it. I am peeling it. And whatever trauma this plant is going through right now, I assure you, in the long run, I'm doing it a favor. These get called death plugs a lot on the socials, and you know, I think that's pretty unfair. Oh, I thought that was like a root mealybug. Nothing to worry about. It's like a little piece of styrofoam. It's not even perlite. It's a little styrofoam. You know, when you're mass producing plants like this, you kind of need the plug to give the plant support. Not using them would have repercussions too. So I get it. Another reason why, you know, when I get a plant, I repot it. Do not wait. I don't care where it comes from. My good friend Kim at Crazy Plant Gal is back up and running. I'm going to include a link for you Hoya lovers in my description. She was down for a little bit on a big project, but she's got lots of Hoya for sale. You guys are keeping me really busy on Hoya sales, thank you. But now we've addressed, a potential problem. I mean, there's earnest advice, obviously, on Facebook and so forth to not repot plants, for a year, even if it's happy in its pot. And I don't abide by that. When I'm using someone else's substrate, I don't know how to use it. So I use what I'm comfortable with, which is this right here, my normal 3-part mix, and only 3 parts. The 2 main ingredients that I'm the happiest with are these 2. Obviously, these are linked in my Amazon, or in my description, pardon me. And then I use number 3 perlite, that's also linked. By the way, if you have tried to buy GT Foliage Focus and the link is taking you nowhere or to the wrong product, that's because it's been out of stock. It goes out of stock in the United States frequently. It's back in stock today. So I've already placed my order, and then I feel comfortable telling everyone else about it. If you want it, get it. I'm not trying to push a fertilizer plant food on you that you don't normally use or whatever, but if you've been trying to buy it, don't wait, is my advice. Let's see what we're doing here. I have this 5-inch pot from Lowe's, those Italian ones that I like. It holds quite a lot of substrate. I am perfectly comfortable putting this in a little bit bigger pot, and I don't want to trigger anybody, but I'm going to take my sanitized bonsai scissors and take these small leaves off. Leaves come and go. Today I will remember I get so many questions on the ratio of my mix. Today I put exactly 1/3 of each product in there. I'm one of those people that used to pay attention to what I'm doing. I'm one of those people who used to pay attention. Let me put this in first. I'm going to grow it up just like that. I like it. I like it. I like it. Back to what I was saying, I'm one of those people, I used to use all kinds of soil amendments and this, that, the other thing, 6, 8 products, I don't know how many. And I just started weaning myself off of all these extra products because the roots need aeration, something to grab onto, and it needs food. It doesn't need half a dozen ingredients to accomplish that. In my experience, if you do it and you like it and you have good growth, do that by all means. I try to do everything as inexpensively as I can. And buying an S-ton of amendments is not the way to do that. They're expensive. So I don't buy them. I have a huge root that's kind of in the way here. That I'm not going to cut off. I have some, I'm going to show you something when I'm done with this. I have a couple of videos that are kind of long-term ones, like this one will be for some of you, kind of following the progress of not growing this on a moss pole. Rhiphidophora don't really require that to fenestrate. You can see these, there was one this size, a little bit smaller actually, that already had fenestrated leaves. Same with the tetrasperma, Rhiphidophora tetrasperma. Most definitely doesn't need a moss pole. I get it. Along the moss pole, each node develops its own root system into the moss and it takes up water, this and that. I don't care. I have 2 plants on a moss pole right now. By the time you see this video, it might be down to 1 if you're watching this video as a chore video. That will leave my Epiprimnum pinnatum Kujang flame on the moss pole. So You know, if you love a moss pole, grow on a moss pole. I hate them aesthetically. I don't like looking at the back of them when a plant is facing the window. I don't find that attractive. In my dry conditions in Iowa, except for, you know, a couple months of a year, it's just kind of a nightmare. And I don't find the benefit of being able to chop and prop or having a root system at the ready that much of an advantage. I can air layer, I can prop, not a big deal. Most of my life is propping plants these days. So yeah, I just don't care. That's the bottom line. I just don't care enough to do that. Phase 1, first project down. I will of course water this through with said foliage focus, and I will join you back here in a moment. You will either get to see or choose to see some plant chores and some cool Hoya, or we're going to continue on with the growth of this plant. What a weird way to start a video. Stick with me. So the other project I have been working on, one of 3 actually video projects, is I'm going to do a substrate showdown. I've seen a few of those out. I've never been super happy with how they were conducted, which just means they weren't conducted the way I would do it. Nothing wrong with how anybody's done them. I have Monstera siltepecano here for the epiprimnum. I have Philodendron Brazil for philodendron. For Hoya, it looks like I have Finlassoni and Jennifer. Y'all know what I think of Jennifer. The World. Let me put this down and I'll tell you the long-term project on this one while I'm working on some repots. I have so many niggling little tasks to do, so I appreciate you spending some time with me. Hopefully you're getting something done too. For those substrates I'm going to test, and it'll all be in one video, so none of this part 2 you have to wait a month. I'll check on the progress and film it every week. I'm going to use fluval stratum, tree fern, because everybody is going crazy about tree fern. Would I ever spend that kind of money other than to do this video and see what happens? Well, I guess we'll see what the results are. I'm going to do pure cocoa chip. I'm going to do my normal soil mix, which is what I do most of my Hoya in. When I don't do that, if it's a thin-leafed Hoya or dehydrated Hoya, I go in number 3 perlite, filled up to the top with water, and then I wean it off of that as it gets hydrated and starts to root out. I'll do spag moss, and then much to my displeasure, I'm gonna do freaking water for you. I'm doing water to compare all these two. I'm gonna spill it, the roots are gonna grow like crap, and then it won't grow well for me, but I'm gonna do it. The results of that will all be in one video. Part 2 of that video will be to transfer them to my growing medium, which is the only medium I use, is what I've been talking about, and see how they make that transfer and see how they grow. So the first part will take what, probably a month to do or so roughly, and then that second part will document that for probably a more extended period of time. What do we have first? New plant. Went to a big ass Hoya plant sale recently, and we have species 22 Cow Yai, and I am darned excited about this gal. These leaves get very large, very beautiful plant. And you may have noticed it's green. Is that an inside joke? If you're new to the channel, and there are so many new people, I love green plants. I only own 2 variegated Hoya. So let's see what, and these are the next 3 plants. Well, probably the next several plants are going to be from my friend Kim. But these are next 3 I just got from her. And this looks like it is some kind of mix of a cocoa peat, sphagnum moss, perlite, And I'm going to leave it alone. I'm not going to touch that. The issue is that they're drying out very, very quickly, even in my tent, which is overnight plus 90% humidity and during the day about mid 50s. And it has, oh my goodness, these cute little bitty baby leaves. Oh, so nice. Got the old tower trellis, and I'm gonna like that. I'm gonna like that a lot. I will put this up to my left if you want to know how to make these. They're very easy. Did a video on that. Lots and lots of people watched that. Thank you for that. Oh gosh, I hit it the first try. How often does that happen? Kind of often if you practice, to be honest. What chores are you all working on? I just feel behind. I'm not sure why I feel behind. It's my own plant schedule. Like, how can I be behind? But it feels like when you're staring down July, and I have so much to do, of course it feels like I'm a little behind, but, and here in Iowa City, where I live, it is hotter than freaking Hades. Nice in here. I hope you can't hear the air conditioning rolling through the vent, but don't dare turn it off, because if the house heats up, our air conditioning is undersized for this house. Whoever put that in before us, well, whoever put it in before us, thank you for getting vents all throughout this really old house. So I won't complain that maybe they bought one that was a little small for this house, but it's all right. We got upstairs and downstairs insulated a couple of years ago, and boy, that make a difference. All right. It's as easy as that. And I'll get this off the leaves here, put that back in. Obviously, once watered in, everything becomes, you know, a good deal more stable. But I love these wire trellises so much, way more than I thought I would. They look okay on camera, but when you begin to appreciate how much space they save, that's when it really pays off. For styling, I've got a video coming up and partnering with a company that I am very excited about. I'm excited about partnering up with the company, but I'm also very excited about their product. So you'll see that in the near future. So what I'm doing is I'm noting a pressure point on this vine, and I'm going to pin it down with what? Oh, I can steal one off of this plant. There we go. I realize there are a lot of very experienced Hoya people on this channel, but there are a whole bunch who are not and are just starting out their journey, your journey. I'm here for you. The other people don't really need my help, but the vine is very, very stiff right now, for instance. And as long as I can sort of, kind of secure it a little bit, it's malleable enough that it will kind of loosen up and then grow. And this has got a funky little left turn there, or perhaps it's right turn for you, or vice versa. I don't know. I don't know how cameras work, but it'll grow out and then I'll wrap it back again. So as this grows, I'll be able to lower this whole vine down, make a little bit tighter wrap, probably make it a fuller plant. The internodal spacing on this vine is really nice. So especially given that these get, like I said, really, really large leaves. So this is gonna be gorgeous. I am so happy about this. Very, very exciting. I went to a plant sale with over 500 unique Hoya and came home with 3. Not bad. It's either because I truly do prefer to grow plants than buy them, or because my wife was with me and that forced me to have some self-control. This one is a Rigida Kaohsiung Island. And what had happened with this one is that it had a very long vine. It rooted into another Hoya, killed that one off, rude, and I'm kind of assessing the roots right now because it certainly is growing funky. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm just going to cut that off. That's really not of any great value to me. And oh boy, if you have these bonsai scissors, by the way, these tips are so freaking sharp for that project on the propagations. I was holding my finger a little too close, did the snip. That set me back half an hour of trying to control the bleeding. Too much information. So we'll get that snipped. And then it's got an active growth point. We will get these rooting in my normal substrate. The third one I got at that sale. And this is a monster grower. And this is the Hoya EPC 209. It's the most expensive plant that I bought that day. EPC is Epiphytica Garden, by the way. I oftentimes forget to say what the abbreviations are. I realize not everybody knows what those are, including me. I see abbreviations that I sometimes don't know. So whenever, pro tip, by the way, pro tip. First of all, let's look at this plant. That last plant gets really large leaves. This plant gets enormous leaves. So really beautiful. If you have the opportunity to go in person and buy Hoya, there was a version of this for the same price that had massive leaves, but she had cut the vine off to propagate. So it was this incredibly striking, dramatic plant. But this one with smaller leaves gives us all of this vine, and you can sort of count off on nodes as long as they aren't like scarred over old nodes. This vine is actively growing like crazy. It's already put on, in just a few days, all of this new growth in my tent. Wrapped itself around a plant and up one of the cords that opens and closes the ventilation, or cinches it, I should say. So counting off nodes, I think I counted 12 or 13 nodes on this. So that's potentially 12 or 13 separate plants. I mean, that's a lot of plant for $35. So I am very excited about this, and very excited about how good the roots look too. No surprise coming from my friend Kim. I had bought a lot of plants from her. Hi, Kim. And never had one single problem. I did buy one plant that I got home, and it did not like my house. It failed so quickly, and she offered to replace it right away, and no. That can just occasionally happen, not a big deal. I don't want to mess with this too much. She grows in a greenhouse, so her conditions are quite a bit different than mine, but her plants have made the transition from her greenhouse to my house, with the exception of that one, you know, quite effortlessly and flawlessly. So it's very, I can feel some chunks in there. So I think I'm just going to leave this alone, try to kill the growth tip, grab another trellis, because why would I grab more than one trellis? I mean, one of these 5-inch pots, that's what I'm going to do. Today I posted something on the community notes or community posts, or I don't think one person did respond, thank you. I was kind of curious if anybody looked at those, but I am also looking for recommendations on orchids besides Phalaenopsis, which is my kind of one orchid I have. That would be something I would add to my collection, I think. So if you have a recommendation for an orchid for a straight up novice, although, you know, I can get mine to rebloom, and boy, do those stay in bloom a long time. Wow. And in gloomy Iowa, to have that beautiful purple flower all winter is very, very nice. I decided to go with this mix as is, 1/3 of each amendment. I think that's going to work out really well. I liked what I saw. It can, you know, and then tomorrow, you know, if I were doing this, I might do it in a much chunkier substrate. Who knows? I might be redoing this if I miscalculated the trellis, though. I mean, this just straight up takes practice. Like many things, it takes practice. Okay, what I did was move the plant all the way to the front of the container so that I would be able to get the trellis opening around the leaves. Just kind of put this one in the middle of the trellis. This wants to grow this way. I want it to go counterclockwise. So let's see what happens. I'll start with the smaller vine first. Ooh, that is not going to go easy. Let's see. Not so bad. If you just take your time and line it up properly, that can work just fine. Trying to control what a Hoya does is like trying to control what people do. You just end up frustrated and disappointed, possibly with a broken friendship, relationship, possibly with a broken vine. Just don't do it. Just work with what you have and accept it. Life lessons from Dave, sober plant guy. I told my wife that it appeared to me the real money on YouTube is in health and beauty, and that I thought I would start a channel, a second channel on health and beauty. And she said to me, my wife, my first wife, said to me, "Oh, Dave, come on." Excuse me. Pardon me. If you have anything to say to my wife regarding this, if you have anything to say to my wife regarding this in support of me, type that on into the comments. She watches every video and she loves those comments as much as I do. So share your thoughts on the fashion guru. I'm putting words in your mouth. I know, I know, I know. Let's leave it alone. Let's put our tag back in. I don't need to be reminded that it was $35. I will not care starting the day I bought it. Hoya species Bogar. Really cool plant. I like the growth pattern on this one. Beautiful green. These lance-like leaves. But this is an example of one that is drying out way too fast, and I am going to face dry rot if I don't deal with it. It also needs a trellis. For the love of God, someone text me and tell me to grab a few trellises. They're made. They are ready to go. Love of Christmas. Okay, one trellis. I think the others are somewhere else in the house, so I'll have to fetch them. But where did I leave off? Talking about I'm going to dry rot this, etc. and so forth. This is not in my preferred mix. At some point, I had kind of given up on trying to find good cocoa chips. I was just buying stuff that was garbage. It was mostly fiber. Not even sure why I took a chance on this particular brand. I guess, you know, it's very inexpensive, so not a lot to lose, but boy, am I glad I found it. Okay. So let's, you know, something that has really surprised me about YouTube is that, you know, I don't agree with a lot of kind of common advice that's handed out over and over and over and over again. I believe I specifically referred to it the other day as a plate of warmed over shit. Does that ring a bell? Is it something like that? I would never. I would never say that. People are earnest. They're just repeating what they've heard. If you've only done something one way and it works, of course you're going to assume that's the way. That's human nature. I'm like that too. I've only raised my German Shepherd one way. You know, there are lots of ways to raise dogs. There are lots of ways to grow plants. But what has surprised me is there hasn't been a lot of like negative feedback in the comment. None. No negative feedback. Just the one thumbs down in every video. And whoever's doing that, you missed the second to most recent video. That's still at 100% thumbs up. So you might want to visit that one. I feel like I'm not doing a good job here. I'm going to lift it like a pan. I'm going to be mad at myself if this has dry rot, because I have known that this was drying out in a day or two at the most for a little while. Now we're good. I think we're going to be good. Hopefully everybody is good. We'll just get this potted up. I have this really cute one I found thrift shopping that I was using for something else that had to be upgraded to a 6-inch pot. So I am going to use that now. I think I got this a year ago, over a year ago, under a year ago, in that range, sometime last year. Take that back. I got this seed grown. This is seed grown and from late last year. So how am I going? Maybe I'm going to have to use a bamboo. Yeah. Does this look like it would work on this? What? This, honestly, I wish I would have stopped drinking in my 30s and not my 40s. Okay, carrying on now. My Lord. Do you have these moments too, or am I just out here all on my own looking like a dum-dum? That's okay. I fortunately kind of past caring about people's judgments. Not that you are judging people, but I don't mind looking dumb. It's, you know, who would ever try anything new if you were worried about looking dumb? Something that I used to worry about a ridiculous amount. And I mean as an adult, not just as a teenager or in college or anything like that. Now I am quite a bit different than I used to be. In Tina Fey's wonderful memoir, she may not have coined the phrase, but she says, dance like nobody's watching. We have 48 windows in our house, and I dance and I sing, and I dance and sing to my dog like I don't care if people are watching. And I have it on good authority. You can indeed see me and hear me doing both of those things. And I don't care. In fact, I hope that makes somebody kind of happy. So what I think I'm going to do with this, I think temporarily maybe bamboo, and then I will, this is very temporary, I'm going to make a ladder trellis, either a wire one out of that same rabbit fence material, or I have a bamboo one, but it's way too short. So that's something for me to deal with in a little while. But this is going to be a happier plant. Why am I only securing it up at the very top? It's so I know I've mentioned this before. I have long COVID, and as the day goes on, I get fatigued and I start losing my train of thought, and I use the incorrect words sometimes. So I apologize if I do that. I start to say one thing and then I lose it. I see it in editing. I'm like, oops, well, the video's been made now. Whatever I was about to say next is now officially gone. But compared to what some people go through, it's nothing. All right. And again, once watered in, that'll become firmer. That's a cool plant. Tell me that's not a cool plant. You're not going to tell me that. You know it's a cool plant. All right, let's try to do a lightning round on these little niggling things I've been meaning to take care of. This is seed-grown Morellii. Really, really nice big leaves. I love this plant so much. You may have seen me repot and retrellis my big one recently. They're not expensive. They grow well. They have really close internodal spacing when they're happy. This is Meredithii, or Meredithii, as I usually say. And this has a lot of nodes very close together. I have another one upstairs. I thought about combining them. I'm not sure why I'm not going to do it, but I'm not going to do it. And then a couple of Girls of Summer, and I am working on a Girls of Summer Hoya video. This is Noelle, and very nice plant. And I'm going to pot these up together. I have a much larger version upstairs that these came from, but let's start with these seed-grown Morellii. I took these cuttings not too terribly long ago. That's what we're looking at right now. And by not too terribly long ago, I mean I don't really remember, and it's past time to get into my normal substrate. Oh gosh, speaking of seeds, do I have some bangers coming up for you. I won't bore you with planting them again, but I will show them to you when I get done planting them. There are going to be some plants available next year, later this year, maybe, that are going to be killer by any standard. The thing about Hoya is you can't collect them all. There are so many Hoya, and you know, Hoya don't care what price tag they came with. So you can get something that, like this Morellii that's been around for a while, you can get a nice one of these plants for a modest amount of money, and you have a great Hoya, and a great growing Hoya. You know, I know it's exciting for some people. It is not for me to see somebody do an unboxing of 50 new Hoya cuttings. Not for me. I would, if somebody said I want to send you 50 Hoya cuttings, I would say no thanks. I want to pick out my own Hoya, and you got to grow those. And if you grow them well, they take up a lot. I mean, they eventually are going to take up a lot of space. So my assumption on every Hoya I acquire, and I'm lucky. I sell a lot of plants, so I'm always making room. And as I said earlier, I mean, you guys have really kept me busy. Tomorrow is just going to be packing all morning, and then getting to the post office. But I expect plants to grow well. I expect that I will be able to provide them with the conditions to do well. And for the most part, you know, that's true. Certainly I have Hoya that grow slow, or plants that just don't do much for me. Everybody has that. I know you wouldn't be here if you're bored with chore videos. Oh, nice. New growth point there. I do, like I said, I do have some content coming up that is going to be not chore related. So in planting this, I am going to think about where would a trellis go. Not something I probably wouldn't use a trellis on this until it gets bigger. I would probably use a bamboo stake for a while. That's what I usually do. I can't believe how excited I am about that Rhaphidophora late in the day words. Decursiva. I just am so delighted. I like that you can be in a hobby, you know, I'm going to redo this, I don't like it. Have a lot of plants or whatever the hobby is, and still just be really, really excited about it. Remain excited. I think it helps if you are in the hobby to grow plants as well as you can grow plants. And I don't mean compare yourself to Sydney Plant Guy. Would Sydney Plant Guy not have a heart attack if he saw this? Oh my God. But, you know, just growing it as well as you can do it. You know, that's what I decided to do a couple years ago when I got COVID that turned into long COVID. I lost the ability to do a lot of the things that I loved, and I thought, well, here's this thing that I love. I want to be the best at it I can be. Not the best at it in the world, not the best at it in Iowa City, but just the best I can do it. I want to learn as much as I can. I want to try as many different things as I can. And now I can report back results from an extended, you know, a relatively extended period of time of doing things a little bit differently. But anyway, a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Murrelii. I think early on, it's hard not to want to buy all the plants because you don't have any that are already growing up and kind of, you know, doing something, which is why I made that video, you know, stop recommending boring plants, in part, you know, to address recommending, you know, snake plants, because if someone wants to be an indoor gardener, they want to enjoy the hobby of growing plants, that's a terrible recommendation, because you get it and then there's nothing to do. You can't even water it regularly. So it doesn't feel like you're an indoor gardener if your first purchases are a ZZ plant and 3 snake plants. So next month, watering day, you know. So at any rate, it's once you can look over your shoulder and say, I've got some accomplishments, I've grown some nice plants, you can slow down on buying and really concentrate on the hobby of your indoor jungle, just making it as beautiful as possible. God, that looks absolutely fantastic. I cannot tell you how much I love plants. And then we have just a 3-leafer. That'll be cute as a button. And it's also going to go in a 4-inch container. Again, does it need a 4-inch container this moment? Not really. If you're new here, I have gone on at length with the patient other viewers that in my experience, most, not every Hoya, but most Hoya in my care, within my conditions, grow well right away. Right from taking it from that perlite to this, will not skip a beat. Not at all. And it will start growing more quickly. It will be happier in this substrate. They will be getting fertilized more regularly with MSU fertilizer that I use. And also linked in my description. And that's what I would expect to happen with most of the plants that I do this with. Not every single one, of course not, but that's my expectation going in. And if it's something is growing very, very slowly, I have a 1 node, 1 leaf Russell in the tent that's doing jack squat. That tells me something's probably wrong. It's on the bottom shelf. Maybe I rotted the roots. Maybe I watered it too much. There's not enough airflow down there. I don't know, but I'll be taking a look at some point soon, sooner than later. But beautiful, just beautiful. Very happy with those. On to Noel. Noel is this a Mike Bernardo creation? It might be. Let's find out what we've got here. And this might be the end of my really kind of niggly things that have been bothering me that need to be addressed. So let's not tear the roots out of here. I grew this in perlite, obviously. The question is, why did I do that? There was a reason. Otherwise, this would have been grown in my normal substrate, like this one. This was also a prop at the same time. You know, maybe it wasn't looking that great. I honestly don't remember. I just don't. Do not try to take the perlite off the roots. You will destroy the roots. Just leave it, no harm at all. I mean, if Harley G can grow plants in sealed containers left and right and keep them healthy, you can definitely leave some perlite on the roots. I don't know how she does that. I got a golden pothos thrift shopping. Beautiful plant, and they'd put a piece of tin foil over the hole in the bottom, and I didn't know it. And yeah, it died. Now, if I had known that, perhaps I would have done things differently. But it's just another example of a way I would never, ever in a million years grow a plant. Works for her. She tried it. She likes it. It works. Done. Would I recommend how I grow plants to somebody else? No. No, don't do what I do. You'll kill your plants. Don't do it. Do not do it. But it worked great for me. So I'm going to keep doing it. I am going to keep doing it. Do I want to make this 2 separate plants, everybody? I do. I do, because I'm going to sell these. I am quite sure, because mine is large and very, very beautiful. I do not need another one. So there we go. Any of you have interest in growing from seed? I know some of you do, because you joined Rick and Swiffer's Hoyas. He's that botanist, microbiologist down in Florida, and he is selling seeds left and right, and cool stuff, way cool stuff. I'll put them on the screen right now, and you can decide if growing seed is for you. Trellising this is for me, and I'm going to take a short break because my phone is blowing up, which tells me That's likely my wife asking if I will give her a ride home. I'll be right back. So we have this very long vine, and I was just talking about this with you. So one leaf, and then we have node, 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 node. It's a lot of plant. And I am going to trellis this one right now. Sometimes it takes a few tries to get it right. And I'm talking about life in general now. There we go. Did everybody pause and leave a comment on what a fashion icon I am? I don't want to make too big a thing out of it, but this doesn't just happen. I don't just pop out of bed and I got all of this, okay? Just thought I'd throw that out there for no one in particular. Okay, well, sometimes you trellis a little baby like this and it looks, you know, a little funky, but the goal is to give this its best chance to grow well. And we've just done that. So I'm gonna water this through. Then we have the wonderful Meredithy. Get this potted up in my soilless mix real quick here. It's got 2 vines coming off of this, which, like I said, I expect Hoya to grow, or they get a talking to. I've had, honest to God, interventions with plants where I have just said, live or die, it is up to you. I have done what I can do. You make a decision. And I've had some really good results. That, if you saw my Cebu Blue video, that was one where I had a good firm talking to with that plant. And boy, did she come around. I know Sydney Plant Guy doesn't watch many plant videos, but I wish he did. I wish he could see this with his own eyes. That guy is great. I love his energy. I love anybody with really good, positive energy. And he's very no nonsense, which I appreciate. I didn't know how y'all would take me just having kind of strong opinions, but I just don't have time for wishy-washy opinions when I actually feel strongly about something, like not letting Hoya leaves wilt or wrinkle before you water them. I have very strong feelings about that. Give me a thumbs down on that. I do not care. I think that is a terrible plan. I mean, I don't care what other people do, but when people starve their plants of nutrition and water and then report to new people in the hobby that Hoya are incredibly slow-growing plants, do I need to finish that thought? There we go. I'm going to give this a piece of bamboo. And I want to say real quick how much I appreciate you being here. I hope you got something done, but more than that, I hope you have a minute or two today, tonight, this afternoon, this morning, whenever you're watching, to do that little something just for you, and then come join me for the next one real soon. Bye-bye.